Alright. Well, I have some answers to some of your questions. Let me get these things out of my ear. It's late here. Don't want to wake anybody up. So, I do have some answers to some of your questions. And I also want something back from, I guess, whoever watched this video. You can email me. I know 8RL is editing these fancy little flips that you do with your screen, and some people have music and subtitles, and I've tried editing using YouTube and it just doesn't seem to work for me. So I don't know if there's a certain program you guys use, but I would sure like to, because there's sometimes that I'd like to edit my video for fun purposes, you know, add a little flair, a little bling, as you say. Okay, so that's a sidebar. Okay, ravens and crows. It's funny you mention Alaska, because I lived in Alaska for a year and I had that same question. What is the difference with a raven and a crow, and was what I was seeing in Alaska a raven or a crow? Ravens, as you said, they're all, as a matter of fact, you mentioned magpies. They're all part of the magpie family. Or magpie is actually part of the crow family. So they're all part of the crow family. A raven is a crow. But a raven is it's larger than the crows that you see, possibly what you were talking about, the one that you saw. Ravens live in the city mostly. They live in cold weather environment. They can live in the cold weather environments, but they are very comfortable, very adaptable to city. I was living in Fairbanks, and they were all over the place. Whereas crows are not in the winter areas. They're not in the places like Alaska, and they like it out in the country. Hence, you know, farms, crows, scarecrows, to scare the crows away. So that's that. What was another question? You had another question, and oh, now I remember. As far as I know, I'm not sure about Hungary, but I know in Greece that is their tradition. So I don't know if they also have that tradition in Hungary or not, of breaking the plates in a celebration. So that's that. Another thing, just a little tidbit of information for you, since you were drinking wine and I am a wine connoisseur myself. I see you look like you like a red. I mean a white. I am more partial to red. Did you know that, and you are in France, did you know that you and I are essentially, let me show you where I'm getting my wine from here, Napa Valley Vineyards, you being did you know that you're essentially drinking from the same family of grapes as in California? How? What do I mean by family? What I mean by family is that it's actually related grapes. They are actually, they had I believe it was either a disease. Now don't quote me on how this happened, but in Europe, their wineries, all their grapes were wiped out. Either it was by disease or winter. I believe it was a disease. I'm not positive on that. Like I said, could have been a winter, like a harsh winter. But their wineries were wiped out. Their grapes were wiped out, and they got their grapes transported from California to the great wineries of Europe. So when your French compadres out there talk down about American wine, if they do, we are essentially drinking from the same batch of grapes. Not the same climate, I understand. Um, Not the same climate, possibly not the same method, but they are the same grapes. Okay. Now, the thing about Bling. I am such a plain person. You know, my weakness, my bling would be electronics. I love electronics. I love high definition, television. Um, I really like electronics. Um, but as far as clothes, my wife can attest to this. She picks out my clothes because I'm not really don't have fashion sense, and really, have never really cared. I guess that's a wrong way of putting it, but so I don't wear a lot of jewelry. My wedding band would be about the extent of it when I wear it. Yeah, maybe I'm more like Mr. 8 there. I'm more attracted to the nature's bling. Um, so, I don't know. I can't answer that question. That's the one question I cannot answer to you, is why people are attracted to shiny things. Because I sat there watching your video wondering maybe what kind of shiny thing I'm attracted to, and can't think of one. Anyway, well, I'm trying to think of something else. Oh, I have another question for you. Talking about cigarettes in the break in Germany, but the cigarettes. When I lived in Portugal, I was, and when I traveled through, like through Spain and even Germany, I had gotten used to a certain way. When I lived in California, I lived there when they passed the ban on smoking in restaurants and bars, and it was starting to spread east. But when I lived in Portugal, or even when I traveled through France, through Paris, the airport. I've only been landed in Paris. I've never actually been in France, but especially I remember Paris airport had a lot of cigarettes, even on the ground, in the airport. But Europeans really smoke a lot, and I just, and I'm generalizing here, but it's a lot more than the people here do, at least in public. And I'm just curious why that is, and I'm curious if there's any cancer statistics in Europe compared to the United States, due to cigarettes. Just curious about this. I've always been a little curious, and that's just something because a lot of people smoke. We'd go to the coffee shops, and almost every person would smoke. And I'm a non-smoker, so it bothered me just because I don't like it. But and that was in most of the places you went. I mean, kids smoked, and I know we have teenagers here that smoke too, but it just seemed like a lot more prevalent. Anyway, better get off here before my time runs out. Just thought I'd throw that at you. I'm sure I'll look forward to your answer.